Well, hello and welcome to Morning Trade. I'm Nandita Khemka, and over the next 30 minutes, we'll be discussing the trade setup, the stocks in news, and of course, we will be addressing your queries on the show with our expert. But before we do that, let's take a look at what the global handover is looking like this morning. Well, Wall Street closes higher with the Nasdaq registering its first three-day gaining streak since November. The Fed chairman Jerome Powell has said unpopular decisions may be necessary in order to stabilize prices, but avoids any direct comments on policy investors. In fact, investors now await cues from the December CPI data, which is due on Thursday. Asian markets open mixed. The SGX Nifty is indicating a flat start for the Indian markets. Meanwhile, the World Bank has warned that the global economy will come dangerously close to a recession this year as growth slows in world's major economies. Also says that India will be the fastest growing economy among 7 largest emerging market economies. Also on the show today, equity mutual funds fund inflows, in fact, rise threefold in December, and SIP flows hit a record for the third straight month. We decode the December AMFI data, and also stocks in focus today are Adani Ports, we see Jewellers and Bilcare. Well, hello and welcome. You're watching Morning Trade on Moneycontrol. Let's first get on board our guest, Shivangi Sarda from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Hi, good morning, Shivangi. Good to have you on the show. First of all, the global cues are looking pretty positive this morning. Even yesterday, global cues are pretty supportive, but we saw quite a bit of a cut coming in on the Nifty as well as the Sensex, 1% fall. And this morning, the SGX Nifty is indicating flattish but positive cues. Do you expect Nifty to come out of this selling pressure that we saw yesterday, and what are the levels that you're watching out for on the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty?
Good morning, Nandita. Thank you for having me on the show, and wishing you all a very great day. If you talk about Nifty in the yesterday's session, we saw that despite a positive opening, the index did not hold on and it could not surpass its previous day's higher zones, and it fell down to around 17,856 zones. So bears were dominant throughout the session yesterday, and it closed in losses. But again, today, global markets are indicating a positive start. So, overall, if you look at the derivatives data and the technical charts, we're stuck in a range, and we can see that, the market is moving in a broader range. From the last 15 days, we've seen that twice the index has taken a firm support near 17,777. So overall, positionally, that will act as a crucial support zones, and it will be an important level to watch out for. Overall, we expect that bounces will be there, and 18,018 and 18,123 would be hurdles to watch out for. And on the downside, 77.77 would be a support zone. And talking about Bank Nifty, we've seen nervousness creeping up over here as well. But it was in line with the broader market. It weakened right from the initial tick yesterday, and it formed a bearish belt hold, or sort of a candle, which means that the opening in the higher zones was almost same. So now, till it holds below 42,222, we could see more weakness towards 41,750 zones. But again, after the positive openings, we have to watch out closely for the levels.
Right, Shivangi, talking about some stocks in focus this morning. Adani Ports, well, Adani-led group has completed purchase of Israel's Haifa port, and the bid was put at $1.18 billion during July 2020. So, Shivangi, these Adani Group stocks came under a fair bit of pressure yesterday. Do you expect some kind of uptrend to come in going forward, or do you expect these stocks to languish going forward?
Yes, so Adani Ports, overall we've seen that 3 years it has outperformed, and it has moved with, handsome gains of around 80% in the last 3 years. But at the start of this year, we're seeing some sort of weakness over here in this stock, some sort of profit booking. Which cannot be ruled out. And right now it is at its crucial support zones near 770 zones. So we have to watch out for these levels. 770 could be a support again. So weakness could be seen towards those levels, and 810 would act as a resistance level here.
Right, so those are the levels to watch out for on Adani Ports. Talking about Tata Motors, Shivangi, we saw a stellar run coming in on Tata Motors yesterday, up about 6 to 7% or so. JLR sales as well as global wholesales have been pretty encouraging. Another bit of news coming in yesterday is that its subsidiary has completed the buyout of Ford India's Sanand plant in Gujarat. Given the fact that Tata Motors has been underperforming, but now CLSA and other analysts have also given a buy call on the stock, and they are saying that things are looking pretty positive for the company going forward. So in light of this, do you expect this company, or this stock to rather snap out of that underperformance now and head higher from current levels?
Absolutely. So auto stocks are showing quite a bit of strength since the yesterday's session, and we've seen some of the stocks like Tata Motors, Motherson, etc., are moving, and moving in the positive territory. If you look at the monthly chart of Tata Motors, it is taking support near 50 exponential moving average, and heading higher. Daily chart, it is taking support near 375 zones, and now we can see a good price and volume surge yesterday, which will drive the stock even higher. I feel 425 would be the first target, and then 430 zones, and one could keep a support near 405 level.
Right, so those are the levels to watch out for on Tata Motors. Things looking up for the stock. Moving on to PC Jewellers, the company has clocked a 38% growth in its domestic turnover for the third quarter. Now, over the last 5 days or so, the stock hasn't really done much. It is up somewhere around 0.5% or so, and over the last 1 month, it is down somewhere around 5%. But given the fact that the numbers have, in fact, the growth has come in at 38%, do you expect this stock to now shine going forward?
Talking about PC Jeweller, of course, all the jewelry stocks have been a little bit in pressure in this, last 2 weeks we've seen. And talking about this stock is moving with a good support near 76 and a half zones. But again, the momentum is missing. I would say 87 would be, resistance zones to watch out for this stock, and support near 81 levels.
So support near 81 levels for PC Jewellers. Moving on to the next stock on my list, that's Cupid. It has bagged orders worth 5 crore rupees, and these orders will be executed by June. If you look at the stock, over the last 1 month, it is up somewhere around 10% or thereabouts. What are the next levels to watch out for on this counter, Shivangi? Do you expect it to hit levels like levels around 300 or thereabouts?
So the stock is quite positive. We've seen that good run up from the month of, second half of December. But then again, I feel on the daily frame, it is losing some momentum. We could see some sort of correction. But again, after the correction, we could see levels of 285 zones immediately, with a support near 268.
Right, support near 268 when it comes to Cupid. The last stock on my list today is Bilcare. Now, Rekha Jhunjhunwala has offloaded shares to the tune of 3.65 crore rupees. Now, the stock was up somewhere around 10% in yesterday's session. Given the fact that there has been fund action in this stock, and do you expect this stock to head higher from here, or do you expect it to come under a bit of profit booking in today's session?
So this stock, we've seen good amount of price volume surge in the last 3 days, and good amount of buying can be seen over here, even though the shares have been the news flows. But again, I feel there is a sort of 3 to 4% upside still left here, the potential. So we could watch out for this with a support near 2%.
Right. Shivangi, hang on. We'll come back to you and get our viewer queries addressed by you. But before that, let me get on board my colleague Abhinav Kaul to discuss the AMFI data that came out yesterday. Good morning, Abhinav. Thanks a lot for joining in. Now, the equity MF inflows have seen a threefold jump in December. Remember, inflows into equity MFs had slumped to a 21-month low of 2,200 crore rupees or thereabouts in November. Now, the inflows have come despite the broader indices, Nifty and Sensex, logging a 4% sell-off in the month of December. Now, this shows there is a lot of confidence in equities despite the bout of volatility that we are witnessing in the Indian markets. What are your thoughts?
Good morning, Nandita. Well, AMFI mutual fund numbers came out yesterday, and data showed that inflows into equity mutual funds were 7,303 crore rupees. This was the 22nd consecutive month, starting with March 2021, when the flows have remained positive in equity funds. Talking about November inflows data, when net investments into equity mutual funds had slumped 75%, the investors were a bit jittery about pricey valuations then. With some correction coming in during December, as you pointed out, both Sensex and Nifty witnessed about 4% fall. Investors were seen adding to their positions. So there was some comfort in valuations in December. Moreover, experts feel that investors believe that India growth story is intact, and they feel that markets will go up going ahead. So investors are getting ahead of the curve and investing money. Notably, big inflows in equity funds were in mid-cap and small-cap categories, which after the recent fall have started to look attractive in terms of valuations. Obviously, we cannot ignore the fact that there is an increase in awareness and adoption of mutual funds as a long-term investment option, which is evident in SIP numbers above 30,000 crore in December month.
Now we spoke about the SIP inflows. Let's talk a little more in details about that. Recently Mercedes India sales and marketing head had said that SIPs are eating into luxury car sales, and the latest AMFI data just corroborates the growing popularity of SIPs. So inflows are at a record high for a third straight month this time.
Well, yes, Nandita. In fact, it is impressive to see steady SIP inflows. And it shows that investors are increasingly becoming aware of the benefits that SIPs can bring into their investments over time, especially when markets are volatile, as we see in 2022. AMFI data showed that SIP inflows were at 13,573 crore in December, an all-time high. SIP inflows have now remained above 10,000 crore for a 16th straight month. Further, inflows for calendar 2022 stood at a record 1,49,437 crore, up 31% from calendar year 2021, translating to a monthly average of rupees 12,453 crore. Sensex in fact saw 3 or 4 intermittent corrections beyond 7% during last year, and still SIP inflows gradually improved through 2022. However, there are some areas of concern as new SIP accounts added in December was expected to be around 23 lakhs, but the net additions were around 7.85 lakhs on a month-on-month basis. Still, even though there were instances of lower net additions seen in some months even in the past, the overall trend seems to be getting stable.
Right, the overall trend is stable. So what are the other notable trends that are worth highlighting this time around? Small cap funds, as you mentioned, have driven a large part of these equity inflows. What about large cap funds? Also, debt funds have seen outflows once again, right?
Right. So it is worth mentioning that small cap funds and mid cap schemes saw the highest inflows in December, with inflows of 2,224 crore and rupees 1,962 crore respectively. On the other hand, sectoral and thematic funds witnessed a net outflow of 204 crore, and focused funds saw an outflow of 164 crores. Coming to the fixed income or debt space, liquid mutual funds saw the biggest outflow of rupees 13,852 crore, followed by floater funds with a net outflow of rupees 2,240 crore. Overall, the cumulative outflow in the fixed income or debt space was rupees 21,947 crore. However, this is said to be the result of corporations pulling out money at the end of the quarter to pay advance tax. Additionally, if you see ultra short-term duration funds saw inflows to the tune of 1,737 crore. Notably, gold ETFs continue to see outflows. They saw outflow of 273 crore, maybe because of some profit booking as gold prices saw some run up in the past few months. Interestingly, index funds saw an uptick in investments in December with net inflow, in fact, of 6,736 crore. Also in December, and when we talk about new mutual fund schemes coming up, there were a lot of schemes that were launched. In fact, 36 new mutual fund schemes were launched, of which 24 were open-ended, collecting a total of 8,486 crore. And furthermore, 9 index funds, 4 ETFs, and one multi-asset fund was launched during December.
Sure, Abhinav, thanks a lot for joining in this morning and putting things into perspective and decoding the December AMFI data for us. Let's now go back to Shivangi and get our viewer queries addressed by her. So guys, if you have any kind of queries, do comment on our live feed and we will have them answered by Shivangi. Shivangi, my first query is coming in on Indiaboo's real estate, and this is from Raja Pasala. He wants to know your view on this stock. Now, realty stocks have been under pressure in light of rising interest rates. And if you look at Indiaboo's real estate, it's down somewhere around 8% in the last 5 days. So what should one do with this stock?
So looking at this stock, we've seen that the stock is overall moving in a very, tight range if we look at, the last 6 months. But again, the stock is not really in a lot of momentum right now. We've seen selling from the last 5 sessions. So this stock could be a little bit more in weakness. We could see a support near 73 zones and a resistance near 80 levels.
Right, resistance near 80 levels. Next one is on Bandhan Bank. Suryakanta Mahapatra has written in and wants your views on this stock. It has shed somewhere around 10% or so over the last 6 months. But over the last 5 days, we've seen gains to the tune of somewhere around 3% or thereabouts. What is the outlook looking for on this one going forward?
So overall, broader picture, if we look at, the stock has taken good support near 210 levels, and then we could see buying interest since then. We've seen that, it is trying to, move the base, shift the base to higher zones. So overall stock is positive. Of course, there, if Bank Nifty, once it, holds onto its levels, this stock will get a tailwind from the sector side. But the overall stock is quite positive. We could hold this stock for around 255 levels immediately with a support near 240 levels.
Support near 240 for Bandhan Bank. Next one is from the pharma basket. Narayan Venkatesh has written in and he wants to know about Laurus Labs. He wants to know when will it show some kind of positive growth. Now, pharma stocks have been under pressure for quite some time now. What is the outlook on this one going forward?
Absolutely. So pharma stocks, have had been in quite a lot of momentum earlier, in the previous month. But again, we saw that, some sort of profit booking was seen. If you look at Laurus Labs specifically on the weekly chart, it is showing signs of reversal from its, lows formation. So, now it has to hold above, 385 zones, and then the momentum could build up to, 395 levels. But again, it is conditional. We have to look out for these levels and a support near 370.
Support near 370 for this one. Next one is coming in on IRCTC. Krishna Reddy Kohli has written in and he wants to know your views on this one. He also wants to know your views on Mazgaon Dock. Given the fact that defense stocks have seen quite a fair bit of an up move of the last year, what is your view on this? And IRCTC has shed somewhere around 12% over the last month or so. How would you play these two stocks going forward?
So IRCTC has been quite shallow in volumes in the last 2 months we've seen, and it did take support near 608 zones, but then again momentum is missing, follow-up buying is absent. So the stock is likely to continue to be in a range. On the upside, we could expect 660 zones, and on the downside, 625 would be a level to watch out for. And as far as Mastock, ship is concerned, the stock is quite, positive. We've seen some sort of correction, some profit booking decline. But then again, the stock is witnessing buying interest again. Now, this stock is one stock which remains resilient, despite the market weakness. So I believe the stock is in strength and it would move up to 825 levels immediately with a stop near 775.
825 kind of levels on Mazgaon Dock. That's what Shivangi is saying. The next one is on Campus Activewear. This stock has been in a steady downtrend over the last 1 month or so. I'm sorry, Funny PG has written in and he wants to know whether one should look at buying this counter at current levels.
Okay, so campus, if we look at the weekly structure, it has become little negative, and again, it is taking support near its previous zones, which was around 378 levels. So this level would be important to watch out for. If it holds these levels, then it could see a upside. But then again, the momentum is missing, so I would say we could wait a little more and get a price confirmation before entering into the stock.
Right, wait it out when it comes to looking at buying campus activewear. Next query is coming in from Prabha Srivastav and wants to know your views on Praj Industries for the long term.
Yes, so Praj Industries, if we talk about the long term, fundamentally the stock is sound. But if we look at the technical chart structure, weekly it is taking support near 338 levels, and it did negate its lower lows formation since then. But then again, the stock needs to add up to the momentum. We are expecting the earnings next week, so this would be a stock to watch out for. We could expect good amount of run up over here to 375 zones, but then again, 390 is the next resistance here.
390 is the next resistance level for Praj Industries. Let's also take up a query on Voltas. This one is coming in from Satya CK and he wants to know your views on Voltas. What would you recommend somebody to do with this stock?
Looking at Voltas, this stock is starting to gain momentum. Seasonality-wise, we've seen that, February, March is a good month to invest in Voltas. But again, right now they've seen quite a, lot of price decline from higher zones. So we could, wait for the stock to move above its 50 exponential moving average on daily chart, then, invest in this stock. Till then, we could give it a pass in this month.
Right. Next up is a query on HDFC Life. Vimit Panchal has written in. He wants to know your views on this counter. Over the last 6 months, it has given returns to the tune of 10% or so. What are your views on some of these private life insurers going forward?
So looking at the private insurance life space, the stocks are in momentum. Of course, they are very, high beta stocks, so we could, be careful with these stocks. Yesterday, again, we saw some sort of profit booking after its previous day's breakout. So the overall stock is quite positive because it surpassed its previous resistance zones of around 617 zones. So now a hold above these levels, which is previous day's high, a hold above these would take the stock higher to around 630 levels with a support near 590 levels.
Sure. The next query is coming in on Graphite and Ramesh Kumar has written in. Would you advise somebody to go ahead and buy this counter at current levels?
So looking at Graphite, the stock is again, weekly structure. If we see that it is quite within a range, and daily, if we look at, the stock is taking support near 50 exponential moving average, and RSI is showing some signs of, pause over here. So some sort of consolidation may be seen over here. So one could wait for a little bit more decline for, entering into the stock. But again, the stock is, expected to move around 390 levels with a support near 365.
Right, the last query for the day is coming in on Tata Steel. Jobin has written in and he wants to know what he should be doing with this counter. Now, yesterday we saw the metals pack doing well. In fact, some of the gainers on the Nifty were from the metal basket. How would you advise these investors to go ahead and do? What would you advise investors to do with a stock like Tata Steel going forward?
So metal stocks have been quite a lot in momentum from the last, 1 month. In fact, in the January series, we've seen good amount of open interest addition in Tata Steel, and the way it is, follow-up buying can be seen in the stock. It is quite positive. We've seen weekly also, it is making higher highs from the last 4 weeks. So the stock is quite positive, and one could stay in this stock or enter into this stock at these levels as well, with a target of around 125 levels and a support near 115.
Right. Well, this wraps up our query segment for today. But Shivangi, before I let you go, what are the stocks that you're recommending for our viewers this morning?
So my first pick would be from the pharma space. We've seen good amount of price volume addition in this stock. I'm talking about Zydus Life, and we've seen that from the last 7 days, the stock has been continuously making higher highs. So a buy recommended over here with a target of around 475 levels and a stop near 448 levels. The second pick would be from the auto space, which was a whole and soul driver in the last 2 sessions, and we've seen good amount of momentum in the auto space like Tata Motors and Motherson. So my pick here would be Motherson Sumi, and a good amount of news price flows has also been seen in this stock. So recommending a buy over here with a target of around 82 levels with a stop near 75.
Sure, Motherson Sumi and Zydus are the two stocks that Shivangi is recommending for our viewers this morning. Well, with that, Shivangi, thanks a lot for joining in this morning and sharing your views with us. And we've come to the end of this edition of Morning Trade. But coming up next is Opening Bell, so stay tuned.